Good morning, everyone. And please silence your cell phones. We'll begin with the Unity Statement of Being and the 5 Unity Principles that's in front of your hymnal. There is one presence and one power in this church, in our lives, and in the universe. God, the Lord, omnipotent. 5 Unity Principles. Number 1. God is absolute good, everywhere present. Number 2. God lives in us, therefore we are inherently good. Number 3. We are co-creators with God and create our experiences through our thoughts. Number 4. Prayer is creative thinking that heightens our connection with God mind. Number 5. It is not simply enough to know these principles. We must live the truth we know. And will everyone please stand and turn to hymn number 2, the Lord's Prayer.
We now move into our time of meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable, balanced-seated posture for our practice this morning. To close your eyes and turn within. Take a deep, cleansing breath and let go. Truly an opportunity to release all of your concerns to Spirit. And so take another deep cleansing breath. Let go even more. Knowing that Spirit is aware of any troubles or concerns or fears that have been on your heart. And so as we move into this time of stillness, honor whatever is showing up for you this morning. The love, the light, the peace, and anything unlike that may be in your being. Honoring what is showing up and knowing that all is sacred, all is God, as we turn to our hearts, feel gratitude. Gratitude for the gift of life, the God-given gift of life that you have today. To be here in the teaching of unity and in this beautiful community. To have the opportunity to live God's purpose for you here and beyond, in your home and your work, in all areas of your life. That we come here to remember I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Breathe that in. Going deep into the center of your beingness and knowing the Christ consciousness, the Christ presence. That is the God life that you are. That beneath the personality that shows up to the world, there is your true nature, the true light and love that you are. And so we remember together remembering that we are here on a divine calling. To be a light in the world and to shed light upon any areas of darkness that may be showing up for you. What appears to be separation, struggle, lack, dis-ease. And know that God is there. God is there in the midst, for it cannot be otherwise. Breathe and feel God's presence within you, surrounding you and enfolding you in this beautiful space. I am loved and I am loved. I am light, and light radiates within me. I walk in a world of peace, and that peace resonates in my being. It is the very ground of my existence. I live and move and have my being in peace. So we take time now to rest in that awareness of the truth that sets us free, the truth that we know, that we know, that we know, that resides in the heart of our oneness with God, with all life. Breathe and let go. Forward on the guidance that I receive, to live in peace and oneness. I walk in truth, and indeed, I am free. Gratitude for this which we have always known. The truth of who we are. An expression of God's love, God's light, God's peace. In the name of all that is holy, all that is true, we say thank you. Thank you, God. And so it is, and so we let it be. Taking in another deep breath. Bring our attention to this space with new vision, with a new openness, and with a greater peace. Amen.
And now please turn to hymn number 322, and we're going to sing it 3 times. The first time saying I, the second time saying you, and the third time saying we. Reverend Jeanmarie Eck is an ordained minister, unity minister with a Master of Divinity from Unity Institute and Seminary, and a licensed unity teacher in adult education. She's a spiritual director with a certification in spiritual direction from Perkins School of Theology, a soul college facilitator. Reverend Jeanmarie also holds a bachelor's in music. and a Master's in Fine Arts, and is a talented performer in both singing and fine arts theater. Reverend Jeanmarie has served on the Unity of Houston ministerial team for the past 10 years. Prior to moving to Houston, she served at Silent Unity, Unity Village Chapel, and Unity of New York, and has been a guest speaking and singing at Unity churches across the United States. Please welcome me and please join me in giving a warm welcome to Reverend Jeanmarie Eck.
Thank you, Lindia. It's such a blessing to be here. I'm so grateful to Reverend Stephen and Reverend Sheila for inviting me to join you this morning. And we've known each other since Unity of Houston. I work very closely with Reverend Sheila. She trained me up in radical forgiveness, and she's very near and dear to my heart. She's been like a mom to me. And I just love them both, and I'm truly grateful to be with you all, their spiritual family, and to be in New Orleans for the first time. This is my first time in this great American city. Thank you for welcoming me and my husband David here. The city is amazing. The seafood is amazing. We've been here since Friday, and one thing that we discovered about New Orleans is that every restaurant just about serves shrimp and grits. Something funny to share with you, a man walked into the New Orleans Public Library and went right up to the counter and said, "I'd like to order the shrimp and grits." And the librarian said to him, "Sir, this is a library." And he said, "I'm sorry, I'd like to order the shrimp and grits." I also heard a lot being here about the voodoo culture here and about the ghosts in New Orleans. And I heard of another person, a woman who went to the New Orleans library and said, "I'd like to find some books on paranoia." And the librarian said, "They're right behind you." That's enough of my jokes. I'm grateful to be visiting this great American city, and it's truly wonderful to be a Unity minister and a great American spiritual path called Unity. And today I'm sharing with you unstoppable faith. Unstoppable faith. I'm wondering if you are experiencing something that is calling up a greater faith in you to step into a greater expression of who you are, to face a challenge, a condition, a limitation, to open up to your greatness. I've been praying on this and having that faith to go beyond the day-to-day routine to what we've never done before, to trust in spirit, to release what no longer serves your highest good, to let it be released from your being, to say yes to your God-given dream and no to those who would dim your light, and to live from the power of the Christ within you. That's the calling of Unity. That's the deep teaching, to live from your true nature, from the Christ within. And so I prayed on a great American woman that I could go to get some inspiration on living an unstoppable kind of faith. Like I think about, you'll forgive me, you have a song that's like your power song, or like your song that gets pumped up. There's a Sia song, I'm unstoppable today. I don't know if you've heard that. But anyway, that's what inspired me. Like, yes, that kind of energy of like being unstoppable. And the woman that came to me is Harriet Tubman. What an amazing American, and what she had to face in her life and to shift into this great expression of her faith, to be unstoppable in what she did. I did some reading about her and learned a lot more about her than I knew before. That she began as a house servant at the age of 5 or 6, and in her teens she was, imagine that at 5 or 6, being a servant. And then in her teens, she went out and toiled in the field, and she received this major head injury that impacted her ability to be able to function. She would get really sleepy sometimes, and caused a lot of distress in her life. And she watched as one family member after another was being sold off to other estates. And when her enslaver died, she saw the opportunity to flee, and she escaped on foot, and she found freedom in Philadelphia. And that wasn't enough for Harriet. That was what was so beautiful about her. She found her freedom, but that wasn't enough, because she knew in her being that it was everyone's right to be free and to experience liberty. And so she went back. And one source said that over a 10-year span, she made 19 trips to the South as a conductor of the Underground Railroad and escorted 300 enslaved people to freedom. And I'm amazed, how did she do that? How did she never get caught? And she said in all her years, she never ran her train off the track and never lost a passenger. So how did she do the impossible? This is what she said. "'Twasn't me, 'twas the Lord. I always told him, I trust you. I don't know where to go or what to do, but I expect you to lead me." And he always did. Her faith didn't come from what the world told her was possible. Her faith came from a deep knowingness of God as her source and her guidance. She had that kind of unstoppable faith that you want to sing about. A faith that comes from God within. Affirm with me, I have unstoppable faith.
I have unstoppable faith.
Again.
I have unstoppable faith.
Breathe that in. She said this, "I had reasoned this out of my mind. There was one of two things I had a right to, liberty or death. If I could not have one, I would have the other." So Harriet risked her life for her liberty and the liberty of others. No matter the appearances, she knew that liberty was her God-given right. But how many of us choose death over liberty? No, I'm not talking about, like, obviously we're all still alive, right? We're here. But the death of our soul, when we choose to limit ourselves, to have the death of a dream, or the death of a belief in our own possibilities, or a belief that change is possible. We know in unity, liberty, freedom is truly our birthright. The people who started the unity movement had this kind of deep, unstoppable faith that they had physical conditions that they were told. Myrtle Fillmore was told, "You have 6 months to live. There's no medical help for you." She tried everything, and it was through prayer, through her deep, deep faith, that she saw beyond the conditions of her body and fully healed, and then didn't stop there. She prayed with others and supported them in fully healing her husband, the people in her life, and it expanded into a whole movement that we experience today. Now, there are things in life that don't require that kind of great faith, really. Like, am I going to get the prize in the claw machine? You know those claw machines where they have the toys in them? You go, well, probably not, but I'll give it a shot. Am I going to get the good parking space? You can manifest that space, or what am I going to eat for dinner? Don't require a lot of great faith. But most of us, I believe, and you tell me if I'm wrong, we're facing something that requires a deep, abiding faith. Maybe it's a diagnosis, maybe it's a loss in your family, a death, a challenging relationship that seems to not resolve, a major change in your life. Now, who am I to talk about this? Well, I experienced all of these in the last year. My life has been completely reorganized by Spirit, that I've stepped away from a position that I had for 10 years to follow my calling into what was the next step for me in ministry. I had a major surgery to remove cancer from my body, and I'm cancer-free. I lost my mom. My mom passed last year. Went through a lot. And what I recognize is that all of this has been showing me that my trust needs to be in that which is the unseen truth that never changes. The trust in God that has carried me through every circumstance. And that's what we're all being called into, a deeper, deeper knowing and faith. Corinthians 2:5-7 says, For we walk by faith and not by sight. Affirm with me, I walk by faith and not by sight.
I walk by faith and not by sight.
Breathe that in. The thing about faith is you have all the faith you're ever going to have. And that, when I heard that in Unity, I went, what? Because we pray for more faith, right? Oh, if I only had more faith, things would change. And the thing is that we have all the faith that we're going to have. It's just how are you directing that faith? Are you directing your faith into the conditions that you see in your life? Because if you believe there's no way out, that's all you're going to see. You're limiting yourself to one particular view. And God is saying, your options are unlimited. But God cannot force you to move out of that limited view if that's all you want to hold for yourself or for your conditions in your life. There is another way. There is always another way. And Scripture talks about faith. In Hebrews 11:1 says, Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence or conviction of things unseen. So the assurance that there's an internal, they call it an internal click, that you just know that there's a greater possibility, that there's change that is coming forth, that there's a conviction, a deep conviction, that though I cannot see it in the physical world, that the kingdom of heaven is here now, that knowing this. Charles Fillmore defined faith, he's Unity's co-founder, and he said, faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked with the ability to shape substance. That we are so powerful, we forget how powerful we are, don't we? We're so powerful that we have the ability at the level of our consciousness to perceive something greater, and that it actually shapes the substance of our life from the power of our inner knowingness. But that is in order to change things for the higher good, the highest good, that comes from a deep spiritual life and spiritual practice. Now, some people, well, first I want to say we've got to unplug from the ways of thinking that are limited and the forms of our thoughts that are limited so that we can open to the mind of God within us. And now I want to talk about fear. That some people, their greatest fear is riding a roller coaster. I think my daughter maybe, that's a great fear of hers. And for some, it's the greatest thrill and the greatest adventure and the greatest exhilaration to get to do that. The three of us went to Kima Boardwalk. I don't know if you know about Kima Boardwalk, but it's over off of Galveston Bay, and it's an amusement park, and you can stay there. And we had fun. We were there for a couple of days a few weeks ago, and we had unlimited ride passes, and so we rode on everything that was open. We rode on the carousel, we rode on the little baby Ferris wheel, and we enjoyed it. But we left one off until the very end, and that is the humongous wooden roller coaster called the Boardwalk Bullet. And this roller coaster is amazing. It is got a drop of 92 feet, and it has the most track crossovers of any wooden roller coaster, 42 track crossovers, and it reaches speeds of up to 51 miles an hour. My daughter was like, absolutely not, no way. She wasn't going to ride on it. And since it was the three of us, somebody had to stay with her. So my husband went first, and he rode it, and he said it was amazing. He said, you need to go. You need to ride this roller coaster. And so there was so much anticipation as you wait online, and you hear people scream, and you hear the rush of the cars around, the whoosh, whoosh, whoosh as the cars are going around. And there's that anticipation, what's going to happen? Is it going to get bumped around or whatever? And there's knowingness. David came through you okay on the roller coaster? He had fun. It's going to be okay. But once the roller coaster gets up to that 92 feet, and you can see out over Galveston Bay and over the theme park, and it's so beautiful. It's like, wow. And then it just starts rushing down and whirling around, and that made me think about the way that visions can happen. That you get this high view of things, of a dream or a possibility, and you get up and you can see all that beauty and possibility. And then once you start moving forward, you're in it, right? And stuff comes up, and there are twists and turns. But then there are those moments where you catch air. You know, when you're on a roller coaster and you catch air and your bottom leaves the seat, where you're like, wow. There are wow moments. That even that thing that we're called into that seems like a wild ride, that there's still those moments of being held, right? And that joy and that openness, that awe and that excitement. So if you have that kind of unstoppable faith, to follow your heart and to enjoy life and to take the adventure, to not hide away your light, to go out and dare to enjoy life, to dare to live full out, and remember that in the end it's okay. We know the roller coaster, usually no one dies on the roller coaster, there'll be a malfunction, right? But then it will be okay, whatever you're going through. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. There's still more, right? Sometimes things happen in life that we wouldn't choose for ourselves, and we wonder, how did God allow that to happen to me, to my family in this situation? But the better question is to wonder how God is going to see you through, because God will see you through. To let go of wondering why did this happen? How is God going to see me through? And if you're not able to see it, you need a bigger God. You need a bigger idea of God. Open up, because God will see you through when you walk in unstoppable faith. So another story that came to me about unstoppable faith, the last one I want to share with you, is from the book of Daniel. I thought about, well, what is an experience that just feels so treacherous? And do you ever feel like you've been in like the mouth of a wolf, like a lion, like just something in life just feels so like it's got its grip on you? It's terrifying. And so I thought of the story of Daniel, that Daniel was a good person, okay? If you look back and read this story, that Daniel prayed 3 times a day. He was a very faithful person. And in the story, the king of Babylon is Darius. And Darius wanted to promote Daniel because he had this ability to interpret dreams. He wanted him to be one of his leaders, but the king's wise men were very jealous of Daniel for his talent. And so they found a way to catch him breaking the law. They tricked the king into creating a new law that said that anyone caught praying to God would be thrown into the lion's den. And Daniel wasn't going to change that. He knew that was the ground of his life, his prayer life, and his connection with God. And so he was faithful, and he continued to pray, and the wise men caught him praying, which they knew he was going to do. They caught him, and the king, ego stuff, he couldn't go back on his law and say that he was going to release Daniel, so he said, well, I have to put you in the lion's den because that's the punishment for doing this. That was my law, and you've got to pray to God to save you, and then we'll really know if your faith is going to get you through this. And so he's thrown into this den of voracious lions, and the stone is put over the entrance so he can't escape. And the king did pray that night for Daniel's life, the story tells us. And then the next day, the stone was rolled away, and Daniel stood there alive. He made it through. And the king was in awe. He said, how did you do this? Well, it's happened to anyone we put in there has died pretty quickly. And Daniel said an angel came and shut the mouths of the lions, and they didn't hurt him. And so the king ended the law, and he punished the wise men, and Daniel was free. When we look at these Bible stories, we study them in unity metaphysically, so that there is a teaching there that is spiritual beyond the teaching of the story itself, the literal teaching. And the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary tells us that lion in the Bible, the lions of Daniel, represent the savage thoughts that arise in us when we are accused wrongfully and know that we are innocent. So think about that for a moment. Those situations where someone has said something about you that is not true, that is a limited thought, that when you take that in and you hold that as true for you, and how that can damage your own self-worth and value when you believe those things, and that we must have the courage to enter fearlessly into that knowing of an overcoming of that kind of thinking, of those situations, and a deeper understanding of things that comes from Spirit. And courage alone will not do. This is what the metaphysical interpretation says. That courage is important, but you need more than courage. You need to have a reverence of spiritual things, a devotional attitude, in order to receive spiritual inspiration. And so that devotion is that commitment to your spiritual life. And there are many gifts from having that devotional attitude to Spirit. We receive this gift of clarity. I'm a spiritual director, and many people come to me and are confused about what to do with their life. Well, how is God leading me? What's God's plan for my life? And that kind of thing. And they seek guidance in knowing what to do. Jesus, our way shower, said this in Matthew 5:37. Let your word be yes, yes, or no, no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one. The evil one. In unity, we don't believe in the devil or any power outside of God. That the evil one is that living in the sense of separation. Living in that sense of separation. So if you are confused, if you're not knowing what to do in your life, there is a separation in your thinking, in your heart, between you and Spirit. And Spirit didn't put that there. It's our work to return into our consciousness of oneness, of peace, of a knowingness. And that's a gift of having this spiritually reverent life, that clarity is present. And that you may not know 10 steps ahead, but you will know what you need today, and you will receive your daily bread when you have that commitment to Spirit. Now we get confused because we're trying to make sense of life from what is happening on the outside, rather than going within to make sense of it from Spirit. In Unity's book, The 12 Powers, it says, unspeakable joy, glory, and eternal life are promised to those who with unselfish devotion strive to develop Christ consciousness. So I invite you today, as I've shared this teaching with you on unstoppable faith, to know that you have the power within you to live in freedom in the way that Harriet Tubman led others to freedom. That you have the ability to bring that not just to yourself, but to other people in your life and to the world, your gifts, your light, the blessing that you are, to be able to know that if you are faced with what feels like a lion's den, that you will be protected because you are one with God, and to have that unstoppable faith and trust that no matter what is before you, God is greater. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share this message with you this morning. I hope that you have received what Spirit would have for you. I always I pray on these messages, and I trust that Spirit has something for each of you to take away for whatever's going on in your life. truly grateful for the opportunity to be with this beautiful spiritual community. God bless you today and always.
Thank you, Reverend, for that inspiring message. It's time for our tithes and offerings. And we'll start with the women's blessing. Divine love, flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Divine love, flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Divine love, flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. In the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit, it is so. And now it's time for announcements. Electronic giving is available in the front desk at the lobby. You can scan the QR code. Copies of today's service are also available on CD at the front desk. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook. Next Sunday, the 1st, Reverend Fleming will be delivering the Sunday message, and you can see our newsletter that comes out on Thursdays for details. Next month, on Saturday, September 21st, we will be hosting a Tom Sawyer paint party where we'll be painting portions of our fence, and details of that are also in the newsletter. Oh, yeah, flyers. Okay, we got flyers that are available at the front desk. Thanks for that. And did everyone receive the email invitation for our installation ceremony that will take place on Sunday, October 27th? And if you so you plan to attend, please email us at unityofneworleans@gmail.com with your name, as this will be a catered event, and also details for that are in the newsletter. And are you signed up for the newsletter? Because if you're not, you should be. As you see, there are a lot of things going on, And all the details will be in the newsletter, so if you're not, make sure you stop at the front desk and you'll get a card to fill out. And there's also a QR code that you can scan and fill out electronically. Do we have any new visitors today? If anyone's here for the first time, would you like to stand up and introduce yourself? Okay, seeing none. Hi.
Hi, I'm Paige. It's my first time here. I've been to Unity Church before in California, but this is beautiful. Thank you for welcoming me.
Thanks, we're very happy to have you. Someone will give you a welcome card to fill out afterwards so that you know how to get in touch with us and we can get in touch with you. Prayer chaplains are also available after the service. Our chaplains will participate with you in prayer and confidential prayer, and they will be available at the front of the altar after the service. And please honor the sacred space after the service, and please take your chat outside to our family room so that this place will be available for the sacred prayer. My name is Jeanmarie Eck, and for those of you who don't know me, I have been a member of Unity here for about 30 years. I serve on the board of directors, I sing in the choir, and I also serve as a platform speaker. We have several opportunities available for sacred service, and if you're interested, please talk to me afterwards. And I'll pray for protection and our mission. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is, and all is well. And the Lord watches between me and thee, while we absent one from the other, and helps us to know that we are all one in spirit through Christ the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. And we circle around and sing the peace song.